Alright there, welcome back guys, girls and non-binary people. I hope you're doing well despite the recently rough circumstances, and today we need to talk about something I severely disagree with. It does go into the entire video games cause violence territory, and I am of course talking about GTA 5 getting blamed for igniting violence and possibly getting banned from a US state, and I do actually have a couple of things to say about this topic in particular, so let's jump right into this. Okay, so today's story is coming from the state of Illinois, an American county that is primarily known for absolutely nothing at all. Seriously, I've lived in the US before and I couldn't name you a single fact about Illinois, and even when I tried to look up quote what is Illinois known for, Google blocked my access. So yeah, a very exciting place. Regardless, Illinois has been in the news recently for, in my opinion, a rather questionable reason, because Illinois politicians decided to file a bill which is essentially an attempt of passing a law, and that law includes wanting to ban violent video games that feature car hijacking, which would primarily be Grand Theft Auto 5, and apparently this is due to car hijacking rising in the state of Illinois. I'll read you guys and girls the article, which is basically a summary of the bill, because I'm definitely not reading a 30-page law file on something as stupid as getting GTA 5 banned. And after we went through the article, I will then argue for why the decision to pass this law would be absolutely terrible and what this politician tries to argue for is utter nonsense. So this says, Marcus C. Evans, a Democrat, a terrible one at that, who represents parts of Chicago and its surrounding suburbs, introduced this bill that week into the new Illinois General Assembly. The code currently states that violent video games cannot be sold or rented to minors, but the new bill seeks to ban the sale of violent video games to everyone. Evans told the Chicago Sun-Times that he is introducing the bill in response to the rise of carjackings in Chicago. The bill will prohibit the sale of some of these games that promote the activities that we're suffering from in our communities. Chicago had 318 carjackings in January alone. Alright, so he basically wants to ban violent video games because car hijacking rose massively in Illinois, and he blames video games for that. So I looked up this politician on Google and I'm actually quite surprised, because I expected him to be some old white dude, but nevertheless I still think he's entirely in the wrong here, and let me tell you why. First of all, you're saying car hijacking has grown more popular solely because of video games giving an incentive to people to go out and hijack people's cars. Well, aside from the fact that there is no study or real evidence for this claim, and that Illinois is apparently the only state that happens to just be affected by this, an important aspect that's getting overlooked here is that car hijacking has existed longer than the entire Grand Theft Auto series has, and even violent video games overall, because cars have been around for like 80 years, and you're trying to tell me that there was no stealing of them until like 1997 when the first GTA game was released, and even then that was just a pixel game. It's not like GTA just came around and everybody was suddenly like, yo, my fucking 2-pixel guy can take cars, let's go outside right now and steal some actual people's cars. That's like saying the Cars movie drove people to go and hijack cars to get them to speak. There's no indications that the cause of this could even be slightly related to violent video games or GTA 5 at all. They're just using it as a scapegoat because GTA happens to stand for Grand Theft Auto, which fits their narrative rather well. For a second point, let's get into GTA's in-game mechanics now, because I feel like they are massively over-exaggerating how much Grand Theft Auto would actually teach their own player base about car hijacking. I mean, for most criminal activities, they're obviously displayed in a larger extent than usual in GTA, because of the nature and concept of the entire game. But even so, they are in most cases not all that realistic. But with car hijacking in particular, all your character in GTA does when you steal a car is he walks up to it and then he smashes the car window with his elbow and just starts driving away with it. Like, that's obviously something that wouldn't work in 95% of cases in real life. People have car keys and most of them don't just leave them in their cars. Additionally, in most GTA missions, you're not even supposed to steal cars. They usually have their own and do stuff that is definitely worse than stealing cars. So who would even get motivated to steal a car from that GTA experience of your guy walking up to a car and smashing it with his elbow? Especially since Grand Theft Auto is a game that is marketed to 18+ year old people, and I highly doubt that anybody with 18 years of life experience would watch their character break through a car window and suddenly have the incentive to go out there and steal an actual car. But even with all this taken into account, let's say this goes through. The Illinois House of Representatives go against all common sense and decide to ban GTA 5. Well, even so, you wouldn't be able to properly ban the game from everywhere. GTA is one of the most successful games and most popular games of the 2010s. So millions of people already own a copy of this game they legitimately bought. So by your logic, there must be all car thieves then. But these millions of people obviously don't all live in Illinois. Even if they stop selling GTA 5 copies there because they actually managed to ban it, people could just change their location on Xbox or something and continue playing. And even if the government breaks into people's houses and uninstalls GTA 5, you'd still be able to watch people steal cars in GTA on sites like YouTube, for example, and that would, according to the guy that wrote this bill, also incentivize you to go out and steal cars. That's obviously never gonna work out. I just don't understand why people, and especially politicians nowadays, constantly blame any issues or failure of their own system onto video games. This whole video games cause violence shit. Yeah, if a 10-year-old plays GTA, it will most likely have some negative side effects on him, but that doesn't apply to every person, especially if a great portion of people that are playing are over the age of 18. It's just way too easy for politicians to just put everything onto video games like GTA, and in my opinion there are other factors that are the actual cause of crimes like car hijacking, for example. Cause let's face it, if you have to steal cars for a living, then you most likely are living a rough life and can't afford a gaming PC or a PS4 on which GTA could run properly. Another cause could be that a lot of people might have lost their jobs due to the ongoing pandemic and therefore have more of an incentive to hijack a car. Look, all I want to say here is I don't think there's that much of a connection between people taking cars in GTA 5 and actual criminals in real life hijacking cars. I feel like it's definitely a scapegoat for politicians in particular to blame their own and the system's failures and faults onto violent video games like GTA. So yeah, to conclude my thoughts, like I said, car hijacking has been around way longer than the GTA series has. The GTA really doesn't explicitly teach their players how to hijack cars. Pressing a key on your keyboard is clearly not the same as the action of stealing a car in real life. And even if this goes through, it will be downright impossible to completely ban it in their state. But what's your stance on this topic? You think this politician is onto something here, or are you more supportive of my side? Definitely let me know your opinion in the comments down below. Sub to the channel to be notified about every single new upload. Tomorrow we're gonna film a vlog on the Pride Parade and pretend to be gay. Drop a like and yeah, stay safe. Peace.